Good morning or good afternoon, television fans. Big Al here on this Thursday, July 3rd, 2025, and welcome into episode 4 of TV television history. Today, we'll be taking a look at Fox flagship station WNYW as we continue our run through the New York City television market and all the major stations there. My first 3 episodes are up on WCBS TV, WNBC, and WABC TV. So feel free to check any one of those out or check them all out either way. They're all up right now. Today we'll be taking a look at WNYW. Now the East Coast flagship station of Fox. From its Dumont origins to today as the Fox Television Network's flagship station. And Crazy Cajun just popped on. So before we begin, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, ring the bell, and get notified every time I go live. And before I begin, I want to address something. Or not exactly something, but someone that has been terrorizing everyone's chat rooms, especially over the last couple of weeks. He's been doing this forever. There is an individual by the name of Christopher J. Brooks who incessantly asks the same questions over and over again, harasses everyone in the chat rooms that I'm in, claims to live in Las Vegas and bowl 300 games all the time, and date younger YouTubers like Bella Love Castillo and Malia Briggs. Well, he's been banned on this channel as well. I had this stream set up yesterday, and I saw that he was in my chat room talking about how I wouldn't ban him. And in other chat rooms, he was talking about how I need to calm down and need to apologize to him. I'm going to make one thing clear. I'm not the one that's acting up in these chat rooms. You are. That's why you've been banned by me on 3 other channels before you got banned here on mine. You expect people to be nice to you, but yet you want to harass them with the same questions over and over again and with the same lame story that I live in Vegas and I bowl 300 games and I bowl with larger YouTubers like Darren Tang. That doesn't fly here with me. As you know, respect is earned, not given. And apparently Christopher J. Brooks wanted me to give him respect when he's disrespecting everyone else. And I'm not down with that. This is why he got banned on Edgar and MJ's channel. This is why he got banned on Carl's channel. And this is why he got banned on Doug's channel as well as Brandon's channel. Now, I personally didn't ban Christopher J. Brooks on Brandon's channel. Brandon did that. But I want to give a big shout out to all the YouTubers that I have known for the past year. From Doug and Glenda to Edgar and MJ, Dougie Mac, Brandon, TJ, and Joey. Big shout out to all of y'all. And my one regret is not figuring this out sooner. That is probably my one biggest regret of all this CJB stuff, is not figuring it out sooner. And big shout out to Edgar for reaching out to me and telling me about this guy. Because we have had long discussions about him over the past couple of weeks. And then he told me that he was doing all this stuff, and I was like, okay, I can get rid of him. If he just slips up one time, he's gone. And he did on Edgar and MJ's channel first. Then he went to Doug or Carl's stream, and he got dealt with there quickly. And on Doug's channel. So I'm going to make this clear to everyone. If you come in here and start harassing people, I don't care whose chat it is. If I'm a moderator, I will ban you. Because we don't want drama or BS in our chats. That is not what we do this for. We love it when people interact with one another, whether it's to the channel host in general or to other people in the chat. I love this. And I love the communities we've built over this past year plus. And honestly, it feels like we've known each other a long time, but we have made a lot of progress in that short period since we've known each other. And so with that, Christopher will not be in my chats again, as I banned him after he wrote those comments in my chat room. I banned both of his accounts, so you will not be seeing him in the chat again. And with that, let's get into WNYW Channel 5. This is episode 4 of TV television history. And a major shout out to everyone that's joined me. Anna Rodriguez, Crazy Cajun, Joey's in the house too. And yeah, Crazy Cajun, some people say things in chat that is just not made for our chat room. I come here to have a good time and clear my head. Yep, that's exactly what it's about. That's exactly what it's about. Okay, WNYW Channel 5 is a television station in New York City serving as the flagship of the Fox network. It is owned and operated by the network's Fox Television Stations division, alongside Secaucus, New Jersey licensed My Network TV flagship, WWOR-TV Channel 9. The two stations share studios at the Fox Television Center on East 67th Street in Manhattan's Lenox Hill neighborhood, and Channel 5's transmitter is located at One World Trade Center. Here are the specs on WNYW New York. The station broadcasts on Virtual Channel 5 and RF Digital Channel 27. General on-air brand is Fox 5 New York, and their newscasts are branded as The News on Fox 5. And I'll tell you about all the sub-channels towards the end. The station again is owned by Fox Television Stations LLC, alongside its sister station WWOR-TV. WNYW was founded in 1938 as experimental station W2XVT and signed on officially on May 2nd, 1944, originally as WABD. They would change call signs to WNEW-TV in 1958 and the present WNYW in 1986, which was when the Fox network debuted. WNYW previously aired on VHF Analog Channel 4 from 1938 to 1945 and Analog VHF Channel 5 from 1945 to 2009. Their digital signal transmitted over UHF Digital Channel 44 from 1998 to 2019. WNYW also operates a Bronx licensed translator on Channel 64 known as W64AA. The station originally began as an independent from 1944 to 46, and then it linked with the Dumont Television Network from 1946 until its demise in 1956. Then it would go back to being an independent for the next 3 decades until the Fox network signed on, and this station has stayed with Fox since the beginning. The call sign meaning is a disambiguation of the former WNEW TV call sign. WNYW, as always, is licensed by the Federal Communications Commission. They broadcast with an effective radiated power of 92.8 kilowatts from their 1,627-foot transmitter atop One World Trade Center. Their website is www.fox5newyork, or rather fox5ny.com. Alright, diving into the history, beginning with Dumont origins, 1944 to 1956. The station traces its history to 1938 when television set and equipment manufacturer Alan B. Dumont founded experimental station W2XVT in Passaic, New Jersey. That station's call sign was changed to W2XWV when it moved to Manhattan in 1940. On May 2, 1944, the station received its commercial license, the third in New York City and fifth overall in the United States. It began broadcasting on VHF Channel 4 as WABD, with its call sign made up of Dumont's initials. It was one of the few television stations that continued to broadcast during World War II, making it the fifth oldest continuously broadcasting commercial station in the country, after WNBC, WCBS TV, Philadelphia's KYW, and Albany, New York's WRGB. The station originally had its studios in the Dumont building at 515 Madison Avenue, with its transmitter tower atop the same building. The original tower, long abandoned by the station, still remains. On December 17, 1945, WABD moved to Channel 5. WNBT, which is now WNBC, took over Channel 4 the following spring, moving from Channel 1, which the FCC was deallocating from the VHF TV broadcast band. The series Here's How first aired on WABD in 1946. Soon after Channel 5 received its commercial license, Dumont Laboratories began a series of experimental coaxial cable hookups between WABD and W3XWT, which is now Washington, D.C. Fox station WTTG, a Dumont-owned experimental station again in Washington, D.C. These hookups were the beginning of the Dumont Television Network, the world's first licensed commercial television network. However, NBC was feeding a few programs and special events from its New York station WNBT to outlets in Philadelphia and Schenectady as early as 1940. Dumont began regular network service in 1946 with WABD as the flagship station. On June 14, 1954, WABD and Dumont moved into the $5 million Dumont Telecenter at 205 East 67th Street in Manhattan's Lenox Hill neighborhood, inside the shell of the space formerly occupied by Jacob Rupert's Central Opera House. Channel 5 is still headquartered in the same building, which was later renamed the Metro Media Telecenter and is now known as the Fox Television Center. By February 1955, Dumont realized it could not continue in network television. In most cities around the U.S., NBC and CBS have secured affiliations with the top TV stations, making it difficult for Dumont shows to develop an audience and attract advertising dollars. Dumont decided to shut down the network's operations and run WABD and Washington station WTTG as independent stations. Dumont had previously sold WDTV in Pittsburgh, which is now KDKA-TV, to the locally based Westinghouse Electric Corporation, arguably hastening Dumont's demise. WABD thus became the New York market's fourth independent television station, alongside WOR-TV Channel 9, WPIX Channel 11, and Newark, New Jersey licensed WATV Channel 13. After Dumont wound down network operations in August 1955, Dumont Laboratories spun off WABD and WTTG into a new firm, the Dumont Broadcasting Corporation. Channel 5 gained a sister station in 1957 when Dumont purchased radio station WNEW 1130 AM, now known today as WBBR, in April of that year. The deal also included an FCC construction permit for an FM radio station, which went on the air as 102.7 WNEW FM when it began operations in August 1958. The Metro Media Era, 1957 to 1986. In May 1958, Dumont Broadcasting changed its name to the Metropolitan Broadcasting Corporation to distinguish itself from its former corporate parent. 4 months later, on September 7th, WABD's call letters were changed to WNEW-TV to match its radio sisters. The final major corporate transaction involving the station during 1958 occurred in December. Washington-based investor John Kluge acquired Paramount Pictures' controlling interest in Metropolitan Broadcasting and appointed himself as the company's chairman. Metropolitan Broadcasting began expanding its holdings across the United States and changed its corporate name to Metro Media in 1961. However, the Metropolitan Broadcasting name was retained for Metro Media's TV and radio station properties until 1967. In the early 1960s, WNYW-TV was a leader in producing local children's shows. They included Romper Room, which ran on the station until 1966, until it moved to Channel 9. The Sandy Becker Show, The Sonny Fox Show, which was later known as Wonderama. Bill McAllister took over hosting Wonderama in 1967, and by 1970 it was syndicated to other Metro Media stations. WNEW-TV also originated the Jerry Lewis MDA Labor Day Telethon in 1966 and broadcast the program annually until 1986, when it then moved to future sister station WWOR-TV Channel 9, where it aired through 2012. In the early 60s, the educational series Columbia Lectures in International Studies was shown on early weekday mornings before Sandy Becker and was distributed to other Metro Media stations. The station also aired cultural programs such as Festival of the Performing Arts. However, the station's primetime schedule during those years was dominated by reruns of recently concluded crime dramas, such as Peter Gunn, Outlaws, and the 1950s edition of Dragnet. bringing the station some criticism for overly violent programming. In the 1970s and early 80s, local programming was also include a weekly public affairs show hosted by Gabe Pressman, the New York edition of PM Magazine, and Midday Live, a daily talk information show hosted by Lee Leonard and later by Bill Boggs. The station also carried movies, cartoons, off-network sitcoms, drama series, and a primetime nightly newscast at 10 p.m. By the 1970s, Channel 5 was one of the strongest independent stations in the country. Despite WOR-TV and WPIX's eventual status as national superstations, WNYW-TV was the highest rated independent in New York. From the early 70s to the late 80s, Channel 5 was available as a regional superstation in large portions of the northeastern United States, including most of upstate New York and sections of eastern Pennsylvania and southern New England. And now, the Fox era, 1986 to the present. All right, had to take a swig of my coffee. Hi, Hunter, how you doing? Yeah, we are family, Joey, definitely. On May 4th, 1985, Rupert Murdoch's News Corporation, which had recently bought a controlling interest in the 20th Century Fox film studio, announced its purchase of Metro Media's 6 independent television stations, including WNYW-TV. In the interim between the announcement and the buyout, Metro Media references were largely phased out of Channel 5's branding. Upon taking control nearly a year later on March 7, 1986, Channel 5's call sign was changed slightly to the present WNYW. The change was made due to an FCC rule in place, which is now no longer in effect, that prohibited television and radio stations with different ownership from sharing the same call sign. Along with the other former Metro Media independent stations, WNYW formed the cornerstone of the Fox Broadcasting Company when it launched on October 9th of that year. WNYW's schedule initially changed very little, as Fox aired programming only on late nights and weekends on 2 nights of the week in the network's first few years. It was not until 1993 that Fox began broadcasting a full 7 nights worth of programming.
Dumbass door.
Although it began taking on the look of a network-owned station in the fall of 1986, Channel 5 continued to carry decades-old syndicated cartoons, sitcoms, and films into the late 80s. As a result, Channel 5 was still considered by many to be an independent station. Murdoch had one local obstacle to overcome before its purchase of Channel 5 could become final. News Corporation had owned the New York Post since 1976, and the FCC's media ownership rules barred common ownership of newspapers and broadcast licenses in the same media market. The FCC granted Murdoch a temporary waiver to keep the Post and WNYW to allow News Corporation to complete its purchase of the Metro Media television stations. News Corporation then sold the New York Post in 1988, but bought the paperback 5 years later with a permanent waiver of the cross-ownership rules. In late summer of '86, WNYW debuted the nightly news magazine A Current Affair, one of the first shows to be labeled as a tabloid television program. Originally a local program, it was first anchored by former talk show host Maury Povich, previously of Washington's sister station WTTG. He also briefly anchored WNYW's evening newscasts. Within a year of its launch, A Current Affair was syndicated to the other Fox-owned stations. In 1988, the series entered into national syndication, where it remained until the original incarnation of the program was canceled in 1996. On August 1st, 1988, the station dropped its weekday morning cartoons in favor of a local news and information program titled Good Day New York, which continues to this day. Following the launch of the Fox network, WNYW lost much of its out-of-market superstation reach, as most markets in the Northeast had their own Fox affiliates. WNYW continued to be seen on cable in the Binghamton metropolitan area and the New York side of the Plattsburgh-Burlington market until the late 90s, when WICZ-TV and WFFF-TV joined the network. In 2001, Fox bought BHC Communications, a television station group owned by Chris Kraft Industries, which effectively created a duopoly between WNYW and its former rival WWOR-TV. In the autumn of 2001, WNYW dropped Fox Kids' weekday block and moved it to Channel 9, where it ran for a few more months before Fox discontinued the network's weekday children's lineup at the end of that year. In 2004, Fox television stations announced that it would move WWOR's operations from Secaucus to WNYW's facility at the Fox Television Center in Manhattan. While some office functions were merged, plans for a full move to Manhattan were abandoned later that year due to pressure from New Jersey Congressman Steve Rothman, whose congressional district included Secaucus, and Senator Frank Lautenberg, on the grounds that any move to Manhattan would violate the conditions of WWOR's broadcast license. The company also considered moving WNYW's operations to Secaucus, but ultimately decided to remain in the Fox Television Center. On September 11, 2001, the transmitter facilities of WNYW, 8 other New York City television stations, and several radio stations were destroyed when 2 hijacked airplanes crashed into and destroyed the north and south towers of the World Trade Center. The station relocated to an antenna located atop the Empire State Building, where its transmitter facilities had been located until they moved to the World Trade Center in the 1970s. By the late 2010s, the transmitter returned to the newly built One World Trade Center. In April 2006, WNYW became the first Fox-owned station to launch a website on Fox Interactive Media's MyFox platform, which featured expanded content, more videos, and new community features such as blogs and photo galleries. The MyFox sites were later outsourced to World Now, and later Lacana Broadcast, or beginning in 2015, after which the MyFox brand was discontinued. On October 15, 2010, News Corporation pulled the signals of WNYW, WWOR, along with co-owned cable networks Fox Business Network, Fox Deportes, and National Geographic Wild from Cablevision systems in the New York television market area, due to a dispute between Fox and Cablevision. Cablevision claimed News Corporation had demanded $150 million a year to renew its carriage of 12 Fox-owned channels, including those removed due to the dispute. Cablevision also offered to submit to binding arbitration on October 14, 2010. News Corporation rejected Cablevision's proposal, stating that it would, quote, reward Cablevision for refusing to negotiate fairly, end quote. WWOR, WNYW, and the 3 cable channels were restored on October 30th when Cablevision and News Corp struck a new carriage deal. After News Corp split into 2 companies on June 28, 2013, spinning off its publishing assets, including the New York Post, into a new News Corp. WNYW became part of 21st Century Fox. On December 14, 2017, the Walt Disney Company, owner of ABC owned and operated station WABC TV Channel 7, announced its intent to buy the assets of 21st Century Fox for $66.1 billion, pending regulatory approval. The sale did not include the Fox Network, My Network TV, WNYW, WWOR, the Fox Television Stations Unit, or any other broadcast assets, since that would be illegal under FCC rules prohibiting a merger between any of the 4 major networks. Ownership was transferred to a new company called Fox Corporation. A split officially was completed on March 18, 2019. In the fall of 2018, after WWOR's license was renewed, and several months after the repeal of the FCC's main studio rule, which required WWOR to operate from New Jersey as a licensed condition, Fox Television Stations sold its former Secaucus studios to Hartz Mountain Industries for $4.05 million and consolidated Channel 9's operations with WNYW at the Fox Television Center. Next up, we have programming, starting off with locally produced programming. In 1966, WNYW produced the first edition of the Jerry Lewis MDA Labor Day Telethon, initially as a charity event seen exclusively on WNYW. In 1968, the telethon expanded to a network of 6 stations in the northeastern U.S., which was dubbed the Love Network, with WNYW serving as flagship. The station produced local segments for the program, which were broadcast on the Sunday night before through the evening of Labor Day from 1966 to 1986. The telethon would move to future station WWOR-TV in 1987, where it aired until 2012, when it became a reduced length special known as the MDA Show of Strength. The telethon would then move to ABC as a national broadcast in 2013 until its final telecast the following year. In 1980, the station began producing 1-minute vignettes entitled Big Apple Minute, featuring the station's on-air team touring New York City area attractions. This would last until 1987, following the station's acquisition by Fox and the call letter change in 1986. The station also produced the New York City version of PM Magazine from 1980 to 88. Sorry about that, we got a plane flying over our house. The station also produced the New York City version of PM Magazine from 1980 to 1988, when it was transferred to Channel 9, where it was called PM. It was renamed eventually as Evening Magazine, a name generally reserved for Group W-owned stations, and aired until its cancellation in 1989. The station also broadcast the Puerto Rican Day Parade from 2006 to 2015. Currently, the station produces several local programs. Chasing New Jersey is a daily program featuring segments and stories focusing on headlines and issues affecting the New Jersey area. The show is produced by Fairfax Productions and airs in the overnight slot after it airs on sister station WWOR-TV. Good Day Street Talk is a weekly community affairs program hosted by Anton Lewis. Sports programming. Through its network's sporting division, WNYW has televised major sporting championships featuring New York teams in the past years. As part of the network's coverage of the National Hockey League in 1995, the station televised games 1 and 4 of the Stanley Cup Finals when the New Jersey Devils won their first cup. From 1999 to 2001, WNYW held the broadcast rights to New York Yankees game telecasts, displacing longtime broadcaster WPIX. Under the initial deal, WNYW, an actual rights holder, the Madison Square Garden Network, or MSG, carried Yankees games until 2001. Broadcasts of the team's games were then moved to the new Yes Network through a joint arrangement with WCBS TV. This would last until the 2004 season. WWOR-TV took over the broadcast beginning in 2005. WNYW continues to broadcast Yankees games through Fox's national broadcast contract with Major League Baseball. Through this package, the station aired the Yankees' World Series victories in 1996, 1998, 2000, and 2009. And their other appearances in 2001, 2003, and 2024. As of 2022, WNYW is the only broadcast station in New York to carry Yankees games, as rights for games formerly shown on WPIX were sold to Amazon. It also airs any Mets games that are featured on Fox's MLB coverage. In the capacity broadcasting the aforementioned 2000 World Series, in which they lost to the crosstown Yankees, and the 2015 World Series, in which they lost out to the Kansas City Royals. Since the network established its sports division in 1994, most sporting events carried on Channel 5 have been provided through Fox Sports. At that time, the network acquired partial television rights to the NFL and primary rights to the NFC. As a result of this, the station became the unofficial home station of the New York Giants, airing select telecasts. Among the notable Giants games that aired on Channel 5 is the team's victory in Super Bowl 42, when the Giants ended their 17-year drought by defeating the New England Patriots, who were 18-0 at the time and were one win away from the second perfect season in NFL history. In addition, beginning with the 2018 season, the station aired the team's Thursday night games as part of the newly acquired Thursday Night Football package that it shared at the time with Fox, along with Thursday night Jets games until 2021. Currently, Giants games are rotated between WCBS TV through the NFL on CBS, WABC TV through ESPN's Monday Night Football, WPIX or Monday Night Football if Channel 7 is not airing them, and WNBC through Sunday Night Football. The station also airs at least 2 games involving the Jets each year, usually whenever they play an NFC opponent at home. Since 2014, more Jets games can be shown on WNYW as part of the NFL's new cross-flex broadcast rules. WNYW also provided local coverage of Super Bowl 48, which was played at MetLife Stadium. And on March 12, 2024, it was announced that both WNYW and WWOR would become the new broadcast partner for the New York Liberty. Next up is the news operation. WNYW broadcasts 53 hours of locally produced newscasts each week, with 10 hours on weekdays, 2 hours on Saturdays, and 1 hour on Sundays. As is standard with Fox stations that carry early evening newscasts, The 6 p.m. newscasts on Saturday and Sundays are subject to delay or preemption due to network sports coverage. WNYW and sister station WWOR share resources with Philadelphia sister station WTXF-TV in areas of New Jersey in which the New York and Philadelphia markets overlap. The station shares reporters for stories occurring in New Jersey counties served by both markets. In 1944, the first newscast for Channel 5 was Late Night News. In 1945, the news department of Channel 5 rebranded its newscast as TV5 Late Report, and then once again as TV5 24 Hours from 1962 to March 10, 1967. The station is home to one of America's longest-running primetime local newscasts. WNYW, then at the time as WNEW TV, first premiered its 10 p.m. newscast, the first primetime newscast in the New York market, on March 13, 1967. Each night, the newscast, originally known as the 10 o'clock news until 2001 and currently in use since 2021, is preceded by the simple but now well-known announcement, "It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?" which was originally spoken by Mel Epstein, WNEW TV's director of on-air promotions, and later by staff announcer Tom Gregory. This announcement continues to be shown before the newscast. Other television stations in the country began using the tagline for their own 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. news, which may depend on the start of the local youth curfew in every market. Celebrities were often used to read the slogan in the 1980s, and for a time in the late 70s, the station added a warmer announcement earlier in the day. "It's 6 p.m. Have you hugged your child today?" from 1975 to 1985. The 10 p.m. newscast notably featured nightly op-ed debates, which pitted conservative Martin Abend against liberal Professor Sandy Offit. In the early 1970s, the news department launched its 30-minute program Sports Extra, airing at 10:30 p.m. on Sunday nights, where it continues to air. The first time WNEW programmed news outside its established 10 p.m. spot was 1985, when it premiered the short-lived First Edition News, a half-hour midday newscast anchored by former WNBC newsman Jim Ryan and Judy Lick, serving as a lead-in to Midday Live with Bell Boggs, not long after the program moved to noon with Midday at 12:30. After the buyout from Murdoch went through, the station began to intensify their news efforts. It first premiered a half-hour 7 p.m. newscast simply known as Fox News at 7 in 1988. The program would be canceled in 1993. Whew. Excuse me, guys. Have to sneeze. On August 1st, 1888, WNYW became the first Fox station to run a weekday morning newscast with the debut of the 2-hour Good Day New York. Within 5 years of its launch, the program became the top-rated morning show in New York City. In 1991, a new and visually very popular music package was composed for the show by Ed Kellogg, a New York-based composer best known for composing the themes and music cues for game shows such as The Price is Right. Since the Fox takeover, WNYW's newscasts have become more tabloid in style and have been fodder for jokes, even to the point of being parodied on Saturday Night Live. The consumer reporting segment, The Problem Solvers, has received the same treatment on The Daily Show. WNYW was the first television station to cover the terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center that occurred on September 11, 2001. The station interrupted a commercial break at 8:48 a.m. Eastern Time to deliver the first public report of the attacks on air by anchor Jim Ryan and reporter Dick Oliver. WNYW donated a digitized copy of this coverage to the Internet Archive in July 2012. In 2002, WNYW brought early evening newscasts back to the station with the launch of a 90-minute weekday news block from 5 to 6:30. Longtime anchor Jim Rowland, a 35-year veteran of Channel 5, retired from the station on June 4, 2004. Also, former NBC News correspondent Lynn Cannon, who joined Channel 5 as a reporter and anchor some time earlier, was initially named as Rowland's replacement. Several months later, veteran New York anchorman Ernie Anastos, who was at the time anchoring at Channel 2, signed a multi-year contract with WNYW, displacing Cannon as lead anchor. Cannon asked for and was granted a release from his contract with the station shortly after Anastos' contract deal was announced. Anastos left WNYW in July 2005, and Cannon would join CBS station KHOU-TV in Houston as its lead anchor in the spring of 2006. On April 3rd of that year, WNYW debuted a new set, theme music, and graphics package, and included a new logo based on the on-air look first adopted by Tampa sister station WTVT that began standard for all of Fox's owned and operated stations. On November 9, 2008, WNYW became the fifth New York television station to broadcast its newscasts in high definition. On July 13, 2009, Good Day New York expanded with the addition of a fifth hour of the program from 9 to 10 a.m. The noon newscast would be dropped in return. In the fall of 2009, WNYW entered a local news service agreement with NBC owned and operated and flagship WNBC to share helicopter footage with that station. WNYW's helicopter Skyfox HD was renamed Chopper 5 on air. Through the Skyfox name, though the Skyfox name was reinstated in 2010. While the name Chopper 4 continued to be used by WNBC. The LNS agreement ended in 2012 when WNBC began operating its own helicopter, and WNYW has since entered into a helicopter sharing agreement with CBS-owned WCBS TV. During the 10 p.m. newscast on September 16, 2009, anchor Ernie Anastos cursed live on air while engaging in banter with Chief Meteorologist Nick Gregory, saying, quote, "I guess it takes a tough man to make a tender forecast," adding, "keep effing the chicken," end quote. The incident gained some notoriety when it and other videos of the on-air gaffe appeared on YouTube, making Anastos and WNYW subject of a joke on ABC's Jimmy Kimmel Live. Anastos apologized for the incident on the following night's 10 o'clock news. On June 5, 2014, WNYW relaunched its 6 p.m. newscast as a more topical, interactive program. The following day, on June 6th, the station launched the entertainment, lifestyle, and music program Friday Night Live, airing during the time slot normally occupied by the second half hour of the 10 o'clock news. This was followed by the June 7th debut of hourly news updates that aired weekend mornings between 9 a.m. and noon. WNYW is the only news producing English language station owned and operated in the New York market that does not carry a full-fledged local newscast on Saturday and or Sunday mornings, and is one of two Fox owned and operated stations without a weekend morning newscast alongside LA's KTTV. As of January 2021, WNYW is the only news producing station in New York that continues to present field video in widescreen standard definition, while all the other stations broadcast all or most of their field video in HD. Notable current on-air staff. These are the people that are at Fox 5 right now. And let's say what's up here to Chad. What's going on? That includes Tina Cervasio, sports anchor. Lisa Evers, general assignment reporter. Nick Gregory, chief meteorologist, AMS seal of approval, been with the station since 1986. Kurt Menefee, anchor, 1995 to 2000 and 2024 to the present, also with Fox Sports as the host of Fox NFL Sunday. Audrey Puente, member of... She is a meteorologist for Channel 5 and is a member of AMS and NWA. And no, it's not the rap group, so yeah. Rosanna Scotto, anchor since 1986. And Natasha Verma, anchor since 2023. Former on-air staff at Channel 5 include Andy Adler from 2007 to 2010, Vanessa Alfano, Ernie Anastos, anchor from 2005 to 2020, Tex Antoine, 1978, Jody Applegate, Julie Banderas, Sandy Becker, Bill Boggs, 1975 to 1986, Dick Brennan, Jack Caffrey, 1989-1992, Julie Chang, 2008 to 2012, T. Hoa Chang, Ron Claiborne, 1982 to 1986, Ron Corning, Penny Crone, Andrea Day, 1997 to 2011, Arnold Diaz, 2008 to 2014, Gordon Elliott, 1987 to the 1990s, Carter Evans, Frank Field from 1995 to 1997, Rick Fulbaum, 2006 to 2009, Sonny Fox, Chris Gallius, 2003 to 2006, Anna Gilligan, 2013 to 2016, Dr. Max Gomez, Stacey Ann Gooden, Tom Gregory, Pablo Guzman, Donna Hanover, Juliet Huddy, Don Imus, Dennis James, the first on-air host at Channel 5, Mike Jarrett, Bill Jorgensen from 1967 to 1979, Greg Kelly from 2008 to 2017, Marvin Kittman, Sukana Krishnan 2017 to 2019, Matt Lauer, Lee Leonard in the mid-70s, Julie Light, Linda Lopez, Felipe Luciano, Carol Martin, Bill Minzer, Bob McAllister, Chuck McCann, Cora Ann Mahalik, John Miller, Miles Miller, Heather Newart, Jill Nicoletti, Dick Oliver, Christina Park, Marvy Povich, Gabe Pressman, Dave Price, Shimon Procopez, Gene Rayburn, Victor Rizzo, Bobby Rivers, Jim Ryan, Roxy Roker, John Rowland from 1969 to 2004, Ken Rosado 2002 and 2003, Soupy Sales, Cynthia Santana from 1996 to 2001, Baruch Shemtov 2014 to 2019, Tony Senecal, Roland Smith, Lou Steele, Lori Stokes, anchor from 2017 to 2022, Teresa Strasser, David Susskind, and Mike Wallace. In popular culture, WNYW was portrayed in an episode of the Fox animated comedy Futurama titled When Aliens Attack, in which the station was accidentally knocked off the air by Philip J. Fry in 1999. That resulted in angry Omicronians invading Earth in the year 3000. Having received the broadcast signal 1,000 years later, being 1,000 light years away, and demanding to see the end of an Ally McBeal-esque program called Single Female Lawyer. Technical information, subchannels. The station's signal is multiplex. Alright, so channel 5.1, 720p HD resolution, 16:9 aspect ratio is main Fox programming. On channel 5.2 at 480i HD and 16.9 aspect ratio is movies. 5.3 at 480i HP 16:9 aspect ratio is Fox Weather. Channel 5.4 at 480i HD and 16:9 aspect ratio is Roar. Now this is the Sinclair owned multicast network that used to be known as TBD. And on channel 5.5, 480i resolution 16:9 aspect ratio is Catchy Comedy. Analog to digital conversion. As we wrap this up, WNYW discontinued regular programming on its analog signal over VHF Channel 5 at 11:59 p.m. on June 12, 2009 as part of the federally mandated transition from analog to digital television. The shutdown occurred during the closing credits of a syndicated rerun of The Simpsons. The station's digital signal remained on its pre-transition UHF Channel 44 using Virtual Channel 5. It carried WWOR's programming on digital subchannel 5.2 until 2009, when it changed the PSIP data to identify the virtual channel carrying WWOR's programming to 9.2. And as of 2019, a channel of WWOR's programming is no longer multiplexed with WNYW. And there it is. The history of WNYW Channel 5, the flagship television property of the Fox Broadcasting Company. Okay, when we resume tomorrow with episode 5, we'll be taking a look at WPIX Channel 11. Growing up, they were pretty much a sports superstation and one of the highest billed independent television stations in the country. So that's coming tomorrow in episode 5. I want to give a big shout out to everyone who showed up today, including Chad, Anna, Joey, Crazy Cajun, and Hunter Phillips. Appreciate all of you. Alrighty, with that said, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Ring the bell and get notified every time I go live. Big Al signing off. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time on TV Television History. Peace out.